Hello and welcome to another Modern Commerce Talks from Avensia. I'm your host, Jack Stratton from Insider Trends. As always, and delighted to be joined today by Fredrik Forsberg, who is a commerce advisor specializing in CX and loyalty. Hello, Fredrik.
Hi, Jack. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And thank you so much for jumping on this and finding the time. We're talking about something that I've read a little bit about, but I'm really looking forward to learning more about, which broadly speaking is about strategic CRM implementation. But from my kind of limited understanding, Fredrik, what that's really about is actually getting as much as possible out of your new CRM system. So any given client, once they've implemented it, is actually thinking beyond that and what we can do as businesses strategically to get the absolute maximum kind of benefit out of that system. So to start us off, Fredrik, given that this is, your kind of bread and butter and the stuff that you work on all the time, what kind of things do you do to ensure that a customer gets the most out of their new CRM system once it's been implemented?
Yeah, I think one important thing to start with before you're even thinking about systems and platforms and integrations and so on is to really spend some time on what is it that you want to achieve and what does your customers need to get a better experience when interacting with your brand. And I think some clients are spending a little bit too little time there on defining the strategy and what they want to achieve, because I think it's very important to have that with you when you're exploring different systems and even when you have chosen one, when you start to implement, that you always try to have the strategy as a foundation, because the important here is to actually, the system is just a system, and what you get out of it is what you put in, and it's very important to get the business needs into the implementation, so it's not only a technical project.
Yeah, it makes sense, because I suppose CRM systems are forever getting better, getting slicker, the technology itself. So it's probably quite easy to make the mistake of thinking that, within that development and within how good they're getting, that the strategy is taken care of purely through the technology. And I guess what I'm getting from you is that isn't the case at all. You still need to do all that good kind of work as a business to actually work out what your strategy is, what you want to get out of the CRM.
Definitely. And one important aspect of that is, do you actually have the organization to fulfill when you have implemented the system? Do you have the organization to actually create good communication and use the system as much as it's possible? And that is, I think, an important thing to keep in mind when you are thinking about these questions, is to actually take in the organization part of it as well, because the system won't fix everything, even if it's a great system and you can automate things. You still need someone to work with it, and we can see that, I think, in some projects that we might be missing parts there, because we spend too much focus on the technical parts just to get the system working.
That's interesting. And that starts to fall into maybe the actual people and the teams in any given business. So have they got the right people in place to implement the strategy, not just the technology? Have they got the people who can actually understand the information that's coming out of it and stuff like that?
Yeah, I would say that. And I think that when it comes to our role in a project, I think it's just that we are trying to secure that it's happened, and we're trying to to work as, like, say, the bridge between the technical IT department and the business operations, and really try to make sure that we're not missing anything here, and also to, in some way, take the business needs and the strategy and help that in the technical integration, so we do the right things on both ends.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because I suppose that makes me think, you know, the team that implements the CRM, or perhaps from the very beginning, you know, is part of the team that gets the funding secured, you know, gets budget secured to implement that new CRM, and they might spend quite a lot of money on it. Actually, I can imagine it's really, really important quite soon after that to, as you say, be that bridge between different teams in the company, because otherwise you make this big implementation, but if you can't show the value to the non-technical people in the business, then they're just kind of waiting to see the clear benefits. Because from my limited understanding of CRM, I know that actually it's not like the benefits are always going to scream out at you. You know, you'll need people in the business who can explain what it's actually doing in terms that anyone can understand, right? And why it's, you know, where the ROI is and where the business benefits are. Is that something you see when you help clients with this problem?
Yeah, I think definitely it is like that, and it's also it's a big difference between companies, obviously, and it's also depending on, I mean, are you trying to just replacing an old system, or are you actually implementing a CRM platform for the first time? That could be very big differences between the companies based on that. But I think, I mean, again, that is what we actually try to help our customers with. It is to firstly identify what are the capabilities of the organization, and do we need to help more or less on the business parts, or not. And I think for a lot of clients, that's where we actually need to do a lot of work to actually help the customer to actually make the change, not only with the system, but also within the organization, and also prepare the organization when the implementation is done to actually start working, because that is a great experience. I think we see all the time. It takes a lot of energy to actually implement. You have to do the pre-study, the detailing work, what kind of data do we need and want, blah blah blah, and then when you actually launch the system, you're kind of tired, and if you haven't prepared yourself for that, you won't get as much out of it as you were wishing, I think. And
yeah,
that is something we actually really try to focus on, so that when we're launching, we're also getting as much out of the system as we can from the beginning.
Yeah, that's great. And I suppose as a final thing, if you're kind of trying to explain, you know, the biggest benefits of when a client gets this specific team and someone like you, Fredrik, involved in the strategic side of a CRM implementation, what would be like the top 2 or 3 things that you say that you'll get as a benefit from, you know, from that expertise and that as a specific team?
That's a good question. I think, as I mentioned before, to actually be that bridge between the technical part and the business part, and also help the client with, I mean, our experience from perhaps other clients, and I mean, failures that might have been done before, and also try to help the client to actually do what is right for them, not only looking at what does everybody else do within CRM, and when setting the strategy, when trying to make a concept for a loyalty program, so that you don't copy what everyone else does, because that feels kind of safe. So we're trying to help the client to actually find out what do they need, and then we do the implementation part.
Yeah, that's awesome. And spotting the opportunities to create something kind of uniquely beneficial for them as a business. Because I can imagine it's very easy when you've changed or implemented your new CRM to almost naturally set off on a path that lots of other businesses have done and do exactly the same thing. Because to a degree, that system is similar to other people's systems if you've implemented it. So that's really interesting. Actually, it's the strategic part that maybe can make it a bit more bespoke and unique.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Frederick, it's been really, really interesting. Thank you so much for your time. That is all we've got time for today for this particular Modern Commerce talk. Well, thanks to Frederick at Avensia, and we'll be back with another one soon, and maybe even with Frederick, which would be great. Take care and thanks a lot.
Thanks. Bye-bye.